Hello, it's LowTech Mama. For some reason, my other live stream just disconnected. I'm not sure why that is. Which is fine. We'll just start a new one, right? So I'm trying to do something I was alluding to in my other live stream, and that's being intentional about what I do. So what I'm doing right now is I'm driving. So I'm being intentional about driving, which means focusing. And I'm also here with you all, right? And so, hi. Thank you for joining. Where's everybody from? Leave me a comment and let me know where you are joining from today. It's stressful to be a parent, that's for sure, right? We all want to do right by our kids. We all have anyway. So I don't know who sold my phone number, but it's terrible, terrible target marketing. Really. All right. So here's my challenge for you all today. Focus on a low-tech activity to do with your children. So that could be something as simple as, like right now, my children love playing baseball with my husband at night. When he comes home from work, the kids are already excited. They get the baseball bat out and they go play baseball outside. So that could be a low-tech activity. Going to the park, that's another thing we do a lot. Going to our local park. There's so many parks. I mean, no matter where you live, and even if the weather's bad, I would challenge you, put a jacket on, go to the park, take your kids to the park, enjoy the outside. And some people think, low-tech living always has to be going to a park or whatever, and it's not true. Low-tech living can absolutely be something you can do inside too. You don't have to sit around and play a board game, it's just removing technology out of your life as much as possible. So one thing, and of course, like usually, of course, like I use like technology as in like a fridge and a stove and all that, of course, right? But one thing that's super fun is we actually got a solar oven. It's like a tube, okay, like a long tube, and it's like got metal and glass in it, and you slide out like a container, and in the container you can put any kind of food, and it's not big. It's maybe, I don't know, it's like that. And then you can place it in the sun, and it gets really, really hot, and it cooks the food just through the heat of the sun. And it doesn't actually have like a solar, it's not powered by like a battery or anything. There's nothing about it. It's called a solar oven. You can look them up. I think I got mine on Amazon. It wasn't even that expensive, and it's actually really good if there's a power outage or anything like that, as long as the sun is shining, which where we are, the sun shines quite a bit. So that could be a low-tech way to make a meal, and you could involve your kids in making it. Like when we pull the solar oven out, the kids are so excited. I mean, that's all they want to do. They just love it, and They help chop vegetables. Like we've made, let's give you an example of a couple of things that I've made in the solar oven. A really easy one that the kids can just even do themselves, and they know where we store the solar oven, is like oatmeal. They'll put oatmeal and water in the little container, and they push the container into the tube, and they set the tube out in the sun, and it has like some like reflective, almost like wings, and it kind of catches the sunlight, and so they can make themselves like their own oatmeal, which is cool, you know. Conversely, they can also make another one is vegetable soup. Is so good to make in the solar oven. So the way you make vegetable soup in the solar oven, again, is just chop up your vegetables. So I like the recipe of potatoes, sweet potatoes. You can even put some green beans in. You just put it in raw, and then you add a little bit of water. Instead of adding salt, I actually kind of like to add spices. So that way it stays kind of like a low salt option. And so I put and this is where you have to be careful with kids, because they're kind of picky when it comes to spices. So just find out like what spices your kids don't mind. What you can do is like a steak seasoning. You know, you put like a little bit of steak seasoning on it. Nothing spicy, but just the kind of thing you would kind of put on top of a steak, you know. So you put that there, and then the other thing that tastes amazing, by the way, is if you crush up cashews, you blend cashews, and you add a little bit of curry. So you can make like a curry sauce. But again, that's going to be a little bit up to, you know, your kids' taste. But if you put all that in the solar oven, and then you set it out in the sun, it actually cooks way faster than you would think. Like, for real, it's amazing. We've made vegetable soup in probably like 15 minutes with potatoes being cooked all the way through because of the solar oven. And so, again, I'm not advocating using the solar oven as your only way to cook, but I am advocating that is a low-tech activity that kids have so much fun. If they are old enough to handle, like, you know, cutting vegetables, if you don't trust them cutting something hard like a potato or a carrot, you could always have them, you know, cut green beans, and teach them how to hold the bean kind of in the very back, and then cut little, you know, little pieces off the green bean. Again, it has to obviously be age appropriate. They also have some knives that actually are pretty safe for kids, where the kids can't really cut themselves, where it's just cutty enough to cut like a green bean, but they can't actually injure themselves. So that's another thing to think about. And then you put all the ingredients in this solar oven tube. It's called a solar oven. It's like a big long tube. And they come in different sizes, but I think we got like the smallest one because I don't actually cook like actual like dinners in it, you know what I mean? This is just for a fun activity for the kids to make themselves like a snack. And then you set it in the sun. And as a matter of fact, I actually was reading that you can even make things like lasagna. You can make mac and cheese in it. You can make beef stew. I mean, if you have time and it's a sunny day, you can set it outside and just have it sit there for hours, and like kind of like it gets really, because the water cannot get out, right? So it's kind of like a Dutch oven in the sense that it kind of keeps the water in there. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's making me hungry just thinking about it. But that's a low-tech option for doing something that your kids can do that's not sitting in front of a screen. The other activity that we've done with the kids is called Mommy's Store, okay? And the way that it works is you give out mommy or daddy points for things the kids help you with. So, for example, one of the things that I made was like a list, right? So you would have something like clean out dishwasher, 10 points. And as a matter of fact, you know, one of the things that kids absolutely adore is if you make the point system super high. So if cleaning out the dishwasher isn't worth 10 points, but it's worth, I don't know, you make up a number like 20,000 points or something like that, right? And so let's say the dishwasher clean out is worth 20,000 points. And also, this helps with math. But then you make vacuum the living room, however many points, right? You do, what else? Like write a letter, read a book, like read pages in a book, like whatever. You can list all the things that you want your kids to do anyway, and just put them on this point list. And so as they complete these activities, you give them the points, right? So for example, if your child finishes a chapter in their book, they get 1,000 points. I'm just going to use thousands because it's getting too complicated. So 1,000 points. If they vacuum the living room, and again, you need to adjust this based on the age of your child, right? So I'm just talking about my kids. And I never make this something they have to do. This is something that they can do if they feel like it. And so a lot of times they'll be the ones saying, can I do mommy point activities? And it's like, yes, you can, and then, so you have this huge list of mommy points. I'm just trying to think of like other things that I've on. Oh yeah, clean the windows, wash the bathroom sink. I would never have them do anything that's like wash the toilet. Nothing bad, but like the sink, and then based on their age, it's not going to be perfect, but it teaches them to contribute. It teaches them to be part of the family, helping, having a helpful heart is really a good thing. So anyway, when they've completed whatever the tasks are for the day, they can aggregate the points. So for example, if everything, and you need to weight it, so if something is a shorter task, you would give them fewer points. If something is a harder task, you need to give them more points. If your children are have a big age difference between them, you may need to even do 2 different lists, because otherwise it's not really fair. And then at the end of the day, they can aggregate those points. And depending on their age, you can actually have them do the math, which is cool too, And so like, let's say they aggregate the points, and now they've completed, let's say 5 different household chores, like vacuuming, cleaning the windows, whatever, right? And then you have a little store set up in your house. And the store in your house, you can buy things with these points. And so the other thing is you leave these things sitting out all the time so that they can see, oh, I want this teddy bear, but the teddy bear costs, 8,000 points or even 80,000 points. It doesn't matter. You make up the currency, you make up the whole system. And you'll see, like, the kids absolutely love it, absolutely adore it. And it's a great way to motivate them to help around the house. And a lot of times they get more satisfaction out of helping than they do out of, whatever the reward is. So, I mean, I'm trying to get away from doing this, but like one place you could go for the rewards is like the dollar store. Although I will say a lot of the items in the dollar store are really plasticky and kind of wasteful. So I've tried to kind of get away from that. You could also give them like garden, seeds for the garden if you have a home garden. Make it something that's not just some kind of plastic doll or something, Or you could even have them collect coins. I know that there's some dimes, silver dimes, that, like older dimes, they have actual silver in them. So you could have them save up their points to buy something like that. Or make it an experience. So they could also save up money, or the mommy points, daddy points, whatever you want to call them, to go on an experience. So you could, for example, say, okay, if you guys collect, 100,000 points, we can go to the zoo, or we can go to a park, or whatever, whatever your kids like the best. So that's something that's a low-tech parenting approach, because it gets the kids active, it gets them involved, it gets them motivated, and it's good for everybody. It's like a win-win-win-win, It's good for the kids because, believe it or not, most children actually enjoy helping. It's good for your house because it gets a benefit. It's good for you because you can see your kids helping. It's good for your kids because they actually learn valuable skills, and they also understand, you can teach them with that also, like the opportunity cost, right? So if they spend, put this over here, if they spend all their points on, say, if they spend all their points on, whatchamacallit, on a toy, now these points are spent. So now they don't have those points anymore, right? So it also teaches them sort of about budgeting, you know, say, okay, I wanted to have all of these things, but I know I can't buy all of these things, but I know I can buy one of those things or two of those things, you know, that sort of thing. So that's something else to think about. What are your thoughts? Do you have a mommy or daddy store? Leave me a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you.